Have you ever looked at a company and wondered whether the valuation makes any sense at all? I mean, imagine building an AI startup that suddenly gets mentioned in the same conversations as OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic. Then imagine people asking a simple but massive question. Is this company really worth $50 billion? Well, today we're diving into one of the most fascinating stories in artificial intelligence right now. We're talking about DeepSeek, the Chinese AI company that has shocked the tech world, challenged Silicon Valley's assumptions, and turned its founder, Liang Wenfeng, into one of the most closely watched figures in the global AI race. But here's what makes this story so interesting. This isn't just about another AI company raising billions of dollars and burning cash. DeepSeek is following a completely different playbook. A playbook that's making investors excited, competitors nervous, and analysts wonder whether they are witnessing the rise of the next AI giant. So the big question is simple. Is DeepSeek really worth $50 billion? And more importantly, what exactly is Liang Wenfeng's strategy? Let's find out. Before DeepSeek became a household name in the AI community, very few people outside China had even heard of Liang Wenfeng. Unlike many tech founders who spend years building personal brands, appearing at conferences, and chasing media attention, Liang was relatively quiet. His background is actually quite unusual for an AI founder. He built his fortune through quantitative finance and hedge fund operations. In other words, he was already deeply involved in using mathematics, algorithms, and massive computing power to gain an edge in financial markets. That experience turned out to be incredibly valuable, because while many people saw artificial intelligence as the next big software revolution, Liang saw something else. He saw AI as a computation problem, a game of infrastructure, optimization, efficiency, and scale. And that's where DeepSeek's story begins. One of the biggest challenges in artificial intelligence today is cost. Training advanced AI models requires enormous amounts of computing power. We're talking about thousands of high-performance GPUs, huge data centers, massive electricity consumption, and billions of dollars in investment. For years, the dominant belief was simple. The companies with the biggest budgets would win. OpenAI spends billions, Google spends billions, Meta spends billions, Microsoft spends billions. The assumption was that smaller players simply couldn't compete. Then DeepSeek showed up and started asking a dangerous question. What if everyone is spending more than they actually need to? That question sits at the center of Liang Wenfeng's strategy. Instead of trying to outspend the biggest tech companies, DeepSeek focused on efficiency. The company became obsessed with getting more performance from less computing power. Think about it like Formula One racing. Most teams try to build bigger engines. DeepSeek is trying to build smarter engines. And the results have surprised the entire industry. When DeepSeek released its AI models, many researchers were shocked by how competitive they were compared to models created by companies with dramatically larger budgets. Suddenly, people weren't just asking how much money DeepSeek had spent. They were asking how DeepSeek had managed to achieve so much while spending so much less. That's when investors started paying serious attention. Now let's talk about the valuation. $50 billion is not a small number. To put that into perspective, there are entire industries filled with companies worth less than that. There are multinational corporations that have operated for decades and still haven't reached that level. So why would anyone think DeepSeek deserves such a valuation? The answer comes down to three things: technology, talent, and strategic positioning. First, technology. In the AI world, having a model that performs well is incredibly valuable. But having a model that performs well efficiently might be even more valuable. Why? Because every improvement in efficiency lowers costs. Lower costs mean more users. More users mean more adoption. More adoption creates more revenue opportunities, and revenue opportunities create investor excitement. DeepSeek's ability to develop competitive models while emphasizing efficiency has convinced many people that the company isn't just building AI products. It's potentially changing the economics of AI itself. That's a huge deal. Second, talent. One thing that often gets overlooked in discussions about AI is that elite researchers are incredibly rare. The best AI scientists and engineers in the world are effectively the star athletes of the technology industry. Every major company is competing for them. DeepSeek has managed to attract highly skilled researchers who believe in the company's vision. And that matters because AI breakthroughs don't happen by accident. They happen when exceptional people work on extremely difficult problems. Investors know this. When they evaluate an AI company, they aren't just buying today's technology. They're betting on tomorrow's discoveries. And DeepSeek's talent pool makes that future look very promising. But the third factor might be the most important of all: strategic positioning. Right now, the world is entering what many experts describe as an AI arms race. Governments care about AI. Corporations care about AI. Investors care about AI. Everyone wants a piece of the future. DeepSeek sits at the intersection of several powerful trends. It's a leading AI company. It's based in China, one of the world's largest technology markets. And it's proving that advanced AI development doesn't necessarily require the same spending levels that Silicon Valley has normalized. That combination makes DeepSeek incredibly important, not just as a business, but as a strategic player in the global AI landscape. Now here's where things get really interesting, because Liang Wenfeng's strategy isn't only about building better AI models, it's also about challenging assumptions. For years, the AI industry operated under the belief that bigger was always better. More GPUs, more money, more parameters, more infrastructure. DeepSeek's success suggests that efficiency may be just as important as scale. And if that's true, the implications are enormous. Imagine being an investor. Would you rather invest in a company that needs tens of billions of dollars to stay competitive, or a company that can achieve similar results with significantly fewer resources? That's the argument many DeepSeek supporters are making. They believe the company represents a new generation of AI businesses that focus on optimization rather than brute force spending. Of course, not everyone is convinced. Critics argue that maintaining leadership in AI will eventually require massive infrastructure investments no matter how efficient your models become. They point out that the biggest technology companies still possess advantages in computing resources, distribution, cloud infrastructure, and global reach. And they have a point. The AI race is far from over. DeepSeek has impressed the world, but staying ahead is often harder than getting ahead. The company will face increasing competition. Larger rivals will study its techniques. Researchers will attempt to replicate its efficiencies. And market expectations will continue rising. In other words, the challenges are only beginning. But that's exactly why Liang Wenfeng's leadership matters so much. What separates great founders from average founders isn't simply intelligence, it's vision. The ability to see opportunities that others miss, the willingness to challenge conventional wisdom, and the courage to pursue a different path even when everyone else is moving in another direction. Liang appears to possess those qualities. Instead of following the industry's dominant strategy, he created an alternative approach. And so far, that approach has worked remarkably well. The real question isn't whether DeepSeek is worth $50 billion today. The real question is whether DeepSeek can become one of the defining AI companies of the next decade. Because if it can, then $50 billion might eventually look cheap. Think about the history of technology. Many of today's largest companies once seemed wildly overvalued. People questioned Amazon, people questioned Tesla, people questioned Nvidia. Yet those companies benefited from being positioned at the center of transformative technological shifts. Artificial intelligence may be an even bigger shift. If AI truly becomes the foundation of future software, business, education, healthcare, science, and entertainment, then the companies leading that transformation could become extraordinarily valuable. That's the bet investors are making. And DeepSeek has become one of the most intriguing bets in the entire industry. So, is DeepSeek worth $50 billion? The honest answer is that nobody knows for sure. Valuations are ultimately predictions about the future. They're not measurements of what exists today. They're measurements of what investors believe could exist tomorrow. What we do know is this. Liang Wenfeng has built a company that forced the global AI industry to pay attention. He proved that efficiency matters. He challenged assumptions about AI development. And he positioned DeepSeek as one of the most important companies to watch in the years ahead. Whether DeepSeek ultimately becomes a $50 billion company, a $100 billion company, or something even larger will depend on its ability to keep innovating while the competition grows stronger. But one thing is already clear. DeepSeek is no longer the underdog nobody noticed. It's now a serious contender in the global AI race, and Liang Wenfeng's strategy may end up influencing how the entire industry thinks about artificial intelligence. The next chapter of this story could reshape the future of AI itself. And that's exactly why everyone is watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of AI, make sure to like the video, subscribe to Pulse AI, and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest analysis of the technologies and innovators shaping the future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.